Welcome to the Stratix Enterprise Mobility Insights Podcast, where we talk about mobile technology in business, education, and healthcare. Whether it's new trends, new products, or better ways to do things, our goal is to give you useful information that'll make your organization better. Today, we're talking about how exciting new 3D technology has solved an age-old supply chain challenge. Here's your host, Stratix Vice President of Strategic Alliances and Partnerships, Gina Daniel Lee.
Hi, everyone. I am really excited about today's episode as we're going to be talking about something that's been really near and dear to my heart for the last 18 months. Today, we're going to be talking about some really cool technology that solved a long-standing challenge in logistics and supply chain. For maximum efficiency and profitability, LTL carriers need to accurately measure the size and weight of shipments to get the most out of available capacity. While weighing is simple, getting accurate measurement is challenging when items are irregular shapes. GPC Systems has developed a 3D imaging software system that solves this challenge. Using Intel's RealSense 3D camera, GPC's point-and-click application accurately calculates length, width, and height dimensions. Stratix developed a patent-pending way to mount the camera on a rugged mobile device so that employees can use the combined solution everywhere. We've really got a full house of experts here today. First, in Hugh Morgan, Chief Technology Officer at GPC Systems out of Europe. Then we have Miro Melnick, Head of Field Operations, Intel RealSense, also out of Europe. And then our very own Justin Sandifer, who heads up our Stratix Specialty Products Group, is also here with me today. Welcome, guys. We really have a lot of brain power in the room today. Let's start by having you each tell our listeners a little bit about yourself. And Hugh, I'll start with you.
Well, thanks very much, Gina. Really, really good to be here and talking about these solutions and how we all work together. So I'm the CTO at GPC. I'm one of the co-founders. GPC is a software company. We were formed just over 10 years ago. And our emphasis then and continues to be around innovation, particularly with new technologies. And for what we're talking about today, that means 3D depth cameras and AI. And I'm responsible for the research and development of our technologies. I work very closely with customers and partners on proof of concepts and implementation of that new technology. And of course, we've been working with Intel and RealSense since RealSense's inception back in 2013.
Great. Thanks for that, Hugh. Mira, let's go over to you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much for having me on this podcast. Really big pleasure. I'm based in the UK, nearly working over 20 years for Intel. I'm a former platform architect for mission critical system. It was so close to the robotics then in 2017. I realized that I'm mainly talking to computerized vision, and since that time, I'm responsible for our field operations in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So thanks for talking to you guys.
Very good. And last but not least, Justin?
Thanks, Gina. I'm the Director of Product Engineering for Stratix Corp. I am based here in Atlanta, and I run our Specialty Products Group, which is essentially the custom engineering wing of Stratix.
Nice. So, Justin, let's talk about less-than-truckload or the LTL business. What is it, and what are some of the challenges around it?
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, many businesses need to make shipments that won't fill an entire semi-trailer. LTL companies aggregate lots of smaller shipments into one to fill an entire truck, which, as you can imagine, saves costs for both the customer and the carrier, and is more environmentally friendly as there's no wasted space. But to be profitable, they must have accurate size measurements to maximize the capacity in the truck. And in the past, when a shipment is irregular sized, it's very hard to get an accurate measurement. Think a canoe on a pallet trying to ship it from one end of the country to the other.
That's the example I always give too, Justin. So, Hugh, this is kind of where the GPC system solution comes in. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So the challenge really is not about measuring a box. A nice simple box is a really easy thing to measure, and to what Justin said, it's more about those complex shapes, those canoes on a pallet, as it were. So our application has to measure irregular items of all shapes and sizes. It has to be really quick. It has to be really easy for people to use, for warehouse users, truck drivers out on the road, collecting from customers, for example. And we have to cope with a number of different conditions, different lighting conditions, different materials. And of course, all this has to be mobile. So it has to be easy for people to carry around with them. So it is a one-shot point and click solution to measure all the freight with or without a pallet. But only after that point and click is where all the really cool stuff starts to happen. In less than 1 second, the application is looking at millions of 3D data points. And the application separates the freight that it can see from its surroundings. And that allows us to calculate accurately the length, the width, the height, and the volume. And then, of course, all that data is presented back to the user with an image and, of course, potentially integrated into existing systems.
Hey, so Hugh, if I understand correctly, there's other dimensioning software out there, right? But really where GPC Systems has been innovative and really kind of captured the market in a new way is in the fact that you can dimension irregular items, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think box measuring tools have been around for a while, as well as very expensive kind of laser measuring applications as well, which are not mobile. These are large applications that get installed on roofs and ceilings. But we chose to use RealSense because it helps us overcome those. It allows us to provide a mobile device, and of course, working with Stratix helps us get there.
So that's a great lead in. So Miro, Intel has developed a really innovative piece of hardware in the RealSense camera. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So thanks to Hugh for a nice introduction where he's using the value of a RealSense. I would start with a very simple statement that in our technology, which is represented by this small gadget full of electronics and all this smartness is inside, we decided to mimic, the technology invented by Mother Nature. We've been thinking a lot about how to make system capable to perceive the depth and understanding the vision in a 3D. And we realized that maybe we can mimic the functions of a human head and other creations on this planet. They're using pair of eyes to understand the distance of the objects and create the sensing of a perception of the depth. And I think we decided in a very right way. Yes, so our cameras are very popular, and same as in nature, we decided to create cameras with a very robust level of a vision. So we are not so much depending on the light conditions, distances, type of the surfaces. I dare to say that our camera can deliver depth vision and obviously standard RGB channel as well, almost under any light conditions. And I think this is one of the main reasons why our customers like to fly with our technology. Yeah, and this was also, seeding our very close collaboration with our partner GPC Systems in the UK. So I think this is very simple explanation, what is behind the success of this technology.
I agree. And, I made reference to kind of living and breathing this for the last 18 months. I'll never forget when I got the phone call from one of our consulting partners saying, Gina, in one of your presentations, didn't you mention you had a design engineering team that could create custom accessories? And I was, thrilled that actually they remembered that piece of the presentation, because I was able to answer, yes, why, yes, we do. And that's kind of where Stratix came into the equation. Justin here heads up our specialty products group, and really he and his design team jumped in to create the solution that really brought the application and the mobile device together with the RealSense camera. Justin, tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Specialty products group, we develop solutions that fill those marketplace gaps, including protection mounting, and in this case, joining two items together. So we're solving problems by tackling the complex needs of our customers. And here we're asked to come up with a way to mount that Intel depth sensing camera to a rugged handheld device that would allow the camera to communicate with the terminal so it could run the software developed by GPC. You have to imagine that we're joining multiple pieces together in ways they weren't necessarily intended to be from the start. So we designed, prototyped, and manufactured this adapter module, deployed it to our customer's fleet, worked through several revisions in the process, and now we've been awarded a provisional patent on a unique solution.
And I know that's something that you and I are both really excited about, because it's the first time that Stratix has ever had a patent on some of the designs that you and your team have designed and created. So you're really excited about that. Tell us a little bit about the patent pending piece.
Sure. So big process, obviously, to have a unique product that you've come up with approved by the government to say that we have created something that only we can use in the marketplace. And really the unique piece of it was the way that we not only mounted the camera to the device, but engineered so the two of them could communicate together, which previously there was no way to do with this particular handheld.
So it's great that we've got, an innovative software solution. It's great that we've got a camera and we've got the bracket that connects it all together. But it's really all about results, right? Hugh, talk to us a little bit about the results that customers are seeing with this new solution.
Yeah, sure, Gina. So, we've seen customers going from measuring maybe 10% of their freight with a measuring tape up to measuring 90 to sometimes even 100%. Measuring everything, because now, of course, it's much quicker. And they're able to get those results immediately. And that's all because of the speed, the mobility, the application, and the ease of use of the Stratix accessory. And when it comes to accuracy, we had examples where customers were saying to us, look, in some cases we're getting 25% accurate here. We really need to be better. And we've seen improvements up to 97% or even higher when it comes to accuracy in measuring these pieces of freight. And of course, with the mobility of the solution, it means that customers are getting information earlier in the distribution channel. As for example, if a driver is picking up some freight at a customer, they immediately know what's coming. They know how big that freight is. They know what it looks like. Before it even gets to the warehouse, they can even consider whether the billing is correct. That means they can look at efficiency of planning, of trailer usage, in air cargo, for example, of hold space, which of course has huge opportunities for cost saving. And when it comes to actually, a return on investment, a medium to large LTL carrier can expect well into the tens of millions of dollars.
Wow, that's really impactful. We talked about the solution and the three partners coming together here. We've rolled the solution out to, a major corporation, about 7,500 devices, but we're just getting started. Fortunately, Stratix is GPC's premier partner in North America, and we're consistently and constantly looking for new ways to partner together in new opportunities here in the States. The initial solution was developed on a Zebra device, but Justin and his team of design engineers have really created a version now that will work on a Samsung device or a Honeywell device. Like, the world is our oyster in terms of how we can create a new solution to continue to be innovative for our customers. And then from a use case perspective, the initial solution was for transportation, specifically LTL using a mobile device. But the GPC software can offer mobile, it can offer fixed, it can offer forklift solutions that can be used across industry, whether it's retail, aviation, supply chain, cargo, CPG, warehouse and distribution, and cargo delivery. The opportunities before us are, really great, and we're excited about that. We've just begun, and there's a lot for us to do together. Miro, I'd like to turn back to you. We've been talking about this specific use case for the RealSense camera. Can you speak to others?
Absolutely. Yeah. When we started this business roughly 15 years ago, probably it was far beyond of our wildest imagination what will be, potential verticals to use depth sensing and RealSense cameras in the real life applications. People usually thinking about, we need to deliver, perception of the depth and distances to robotics and drone designs and all these super high-tech technologies. But actually, surprisingly, we start to see, even during the pandemic, specific applications to deliver very, specific crowd management systems, monitoring smart surveillance systems camera. We have customers using our cameras for fashionification because the depth perception also is delivering important function called anti-spoofing. So this is also amazing technology. We have many customers using our cameras in smart farming, so agriculture systems, weeding, weed eliminating robots. We have systems for shelf management control in retail applications. So there's many new verticals and new ideas how to utilize the technology. Basically, I can say that every customer is technically saying with a brand new invention and new technologies he's trying to bring in, and we're just trying to somehow adopt our solution. And this is, again, boosting our position because our vision is very robust, and that's why we can adapt to so many scenarios.
Very interesting. And Hugh, what's new on the horizon for you in GPC Systems?
Well, you mentioned we've been talking a lot about mobile freight, but of course you mentioned also forklift freight. So we've had RealSense running on forklifts for some time, but also now we're looking at fully automated or forklifts and robotics, and being able to add that measuring component, that dimensioning component into robotics and forklifts, and of course fixed solutions. We have fixed solutions, and with the competitive pricing and the ease of use of something like RealSense, it means we're not just restricted in putting these cameras into one place. We can put them in a number of locations throughout a warehouse and measure freight as it's passing underneath. But outside kind of logistics, we use RealSense technology in highways, for example. So we have the technology mounted to vehicles, and we're using a combination of the AI and the depth technology in RealSense to find and locate road defects or potholes, and then be able to measure them and identify that when they have problems. We have RealSense running in 24 hours a day in ports, for example, monitoring surface conditions. And in healthcare, where it all started, we use RealSense to monitor patient conditions, visible conditions such as skin conditions, burns, wounds, that kind of thing. It's even been used, we've even used it in veterinary care as well.
Super interesting. And I'm glad you brought up the healthcare angle too. I was going to mention that if you didn't bring it up, because I think the roots of GPC Systems in the healthcare industry is really interesting. Guys, thank you so much. It's been a great conversation, really interesting. I have personally loved being on this journey with you guys over the last 18 months. And like I said, the world is our oyster. We've just begun. There's so many different use cases that we can roll out together, and I'm excited about what the future holds for us. Thank you for sharing your insights and being with us here today.
Thanks for listening to the Stratix Enterprise Mobility Insights podcast. If you like what you heard today, please share it and visit stratixcorp.com/podcast to subscribe. That way you'll never miss an episode.